Hey everybody, another video request, and this comes from Chris. And Chris writes, "Hello Aaron, I have a couple things I would like you to discuss. Number one, why do we need to destroy feminism? And how can we destroy it? Number two, do you think our society would function better if men and women went back to their traditional roles? And if it would, do you think it's even possible to go back to our traditional roles? Thanks." And that's from Chris. And so I put together a little bit of notes because it was very specific, and and there was more than just two questions, so I wanted to address it thoroughly and completely. To the first question, why do we need to destroy feminism? And you know me, I'm not going to be politically correct, I'm just going to be truthful. Feminism is not, you got to not look at feminism for what they claim to be. Every naive little 20-something girl and every age-bitter 1970s feminist will pound on the table and rage and fling their bras, claiming it's just for the equal treatment of men and women. And it is not. It is anything but that. Naivete, yeah, sure, feminism in a literal sense would mean that. But it is not. If you look at the actions that they are taking, it's theft, it's parasitism. And it basically uses gender, or your sex, I never really knew the difference, I don't care to learn the difference, as a means to extract resources from the opposite gender. And you see this in the way they act. In other words, they're even truthful about it. I forget who quotes it, but they said that feminism is basically communism. And it is. That's all it is. It really is just communism. It is theft. It is parasitism, allowing that particular group to use their gender to find whatever made-up bogus reasons and excuses, sexism, discrimination, glass ceiling, wage gap, to extract resources from men, primarily. And these women, very interesting thing I saw one time, always stuck with my mind, because you see it happen with humans. And it shows you just what vermin we can become. I was at the Wisconsin State Fair a long time ago, and they had lampreys in a tank with fish. And lampreys are these parasites. They're like snakes about yay long. And they got the mean-looking fuckers. Mean! Just teeth. And they attach themselves to fish, and they dig in, and they just suck out the blood. They're the most disgusting animal I think I've ever seen. But one thing, what I saw was really cool, is you had this big lamprey, about this big, on this poor trout from Lake Michigan. And you can see the poor trout was just... And this lamprey comes in and did not attach itself to the fish, but the other lamprey. And the big lamprey let go and went crazy. And I'm like, wow. And feminists will do that. They will attack each other just to get, or not necessarily feminists, but they will attack other women to get resources from them. So you see them going against anyone that really doesn't agree with them, religious right type gals. I don't understand the huge middle school crush they have with abortion. I really don't understand that. But they will, at all costs, avoid a real job and take money wherever they can get it. Another perfect example is that this witch hunt for rape that does not exist, by making this yes means yes, that stuff. That really is, I don't mean to sound conspiratorial, but it's true. That's just to get more money for rape prevention or women's shelters over on college campuses to employ women's studies majors. That's really what it is. It also looks good for politicians to say, look how we're helping women. But they don't care. They don't care. They are lampreys. They are vampires. They will come after you just because they need the money. And they don't care if you get false rape accusations. They don't care if genuine victims of rape are now disbelieved. Like I wrote a post about this. I don't believe rape claims anymore. I don't. It's not that I don't believe them. I now, beforehand, I would, oh God, that's horrible. What can we do? Now I'm like, oh yeah, really, you were raped? Sure. Because there's so many. It's such bullshit. It's so fake, and that hurts the real victims of rape. So these women, they're evil. They're just evil. So that is why you have to destroy feminism, or why it should be destroyed. You're not dealing with something that's good for society and the future of humankind. How can we destroy it? Well, a couple of ways. One, it kind of destroys itself because no man will really marry these women, and therefore they won't procreate. But even if they do, they're such zealots and ideologues, and they're hypocrites. These are evil, intellectually dishonest people we're dealing with. They care more about themselves than anyone else, It's kind of like being brought up under, I don't know, a preacher's kid, where the pastor or the preacher loves God, loves themselves, or they're egomaniacs, which a lot of preachers are. They love themselves or God or the church or the position or the power more than they do their actual family. And this is why you have a lot of kids who go running from the fucking church. They just go fucking running. It's going to be the same thing with feminism. You've seen these. You occasionally hear a news story. Like this one time, these vegan parents, they didn't feed their kid protein, and the infant died. Obviously, these people care more about their ideology than their own children. I mean, these are again evil people you're dealing with. So just their general cunty demeanor and their assholeness and their evilness will drive their children away. Even if they are brainwashed, they'll once they get out from underneath and maybe get new ideas, they'll go running. Still, the schools keep it going though. So whatever people are driven away from it, there are new brainwashable youths, young skulls full of mush, to quote Rush Limbaugh, that get indoctrinated in this from K through 12 and then they go into college. So there is always a new supply, just like there's always a new supply of liberals and Democrats. There's always a new supply of feminists coming, and environmentalists and all communists. Although they're all red, just whatever they call themselves is whatever the tool or conduit they use to brainwash these kids into voting a certain way. So you're never going to be able to get rid of it. Because it's always going to be there. There's always going to be evil people in the world. And some of them will be women, and some of them will use their gender or their sex to extract money and play the victim card. Now, so that's one kind of, it will marginalize itself out. Another way that will be destroyed, an utter collapse of society. Sorry, men can live without women because we're stronger. We can run faster. We can protect ourselves better. If the economy totally collapsed, this physiological, biological fact would become very clear. It become very obvious. And if you're in a very resource limited, like food is scarce, water is scarce, any cunt fucking saying, well, we're discriminating, there's a glass ceiling, while you're just trying to stave off the saber-toothed tigers, yeah, those gals ain't gonna live too long. They won't have the niceties of police or law or protections. It'll just be survival of the fittest and the strongest, and some guy just say fuck you and do mean things I won't mention. So that's one extreme reason that feminism would die out, because it's not a self-supporting ideology. It's a parasitic ideology. It needs a healthy economy to live off of. And if the economy is not healthy, so much to the point that resources are strained, those people get killed in the tribe real quick. They get ostracized and thrown out of the club. Another way you could destroy it is just speak the truth. You got to realize that all these kids are brainwashed, and then they're zealots to a certain extent, and they're impenetrable to brainwashing. But over time, and it takes basically from their 20s, from 20 to 30, a decade of real-world experience and dating and interacting with the opposite sex, do they start to realize that the ideology is bullshit, that what they were brainwashed and told does not play out. Now, this is hard, because all their lives have been brainwashed. 20 years, 2 decades. And then in the next third of their life, the next decade, there's no one telling them, hey, this is how it is. And if you do tell them, you're immediately called a racist, or not racist, sexist, or misogynist. Well, fine, don't worry about that. I don't know if you're aware of this. The left is going to call you whatever name no matter what. I always found it really cute where Hugo Chavez accused George Bush of all this shit. I'm wondering, what if George Bush just actually did that shit, nuked Caracas? I mean, if you're going to be accused of it, you might as well go fucking do it. So it's kind of like, this is a dark, sinister observation. But, if you're accused of being a misogynist, actually, you know what? Be a misogynist. Yeah, you know what? I'm only hiring men. Yeah, fuck you. You're right. If I'm going to get accused of it, at least I should have the benefit, the option, the right to discriminate against you and be a real misogynist asshole. So, you're always going to be accused of it, so just keep speaking the truth. There's no, if you lie and try and be politically correct, you're still going to be accused of being an evil sexist male. You're still going to have male privilege. You're unconscious about it. Well, fuck them then. That's why I don't know if you noticed, but most guys, they don't give a shit on the internet. You watch old mainstream media. They're all politically correct. They don't curse. Here, God almighty, the cunt word is making a comeback. And it's because it's applicable. There are a lot of mean, evil, disgusting women. And there's no better word for it. We're not saying it to be insulting. We're saying it to be descriptive. And so that's it. Related to that, shame. Shame, oh, do the leftists hate shame. They hate shame. Feminists hate shame. If you fat shame a woman, I mean, look at, like, they're psycho. I mean, they get so pissed off because you're speaking the truth. It's so shame, just pointing out that they don't work as hard because they're majoring in stupid shit. They're ugly. They're fat. Or whatever factual things about them. Now, there are good-looking feminist women. And there are successful, I'm sure a population of 310 million, there's got to be one or two engineer feminists. And those I'd very much love to engage in a conversation and see what they're thinking. But by far, the vast majority of your feminists are lazy people who are so lazy, not only do they not want to work hard at a career, they don't want to work hard, period. And being in physical shape takes effort, especially the older you get, as I'm finding out. To be as sexy as me, it takes a cute little hat. You gotta work out. It sucks. I work out at least an hour a day, and that doesn't include physical labor of fucking stacking wood and chainsawing and all this other fucking shit and working on the cars. And then you gotta groom, you gotta wear okay clothes. Feminists don't have, really look at them. Look at any women's studies department pictures, like the department, go to the women's studies department, any university, they're not good looking, and they don't doll themselves up, and it's not because I don't dress for men, I dress for men, no, it's because they're lazy. They don't want to do shit. Open up any one of their books, they're not writing anything, they're saying nothing, it's just, and it's all worked back to get more money for them. So, just pointing out that to them, it'll get them pissed off, but it will stick in their mind. And what really pisses them off is if you're unrepentant and you just tell them, and we know it. You're not fooling anyone. Fuck you, you're not fooling anyone. You're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb. And you know what? They may be brilliant. They may actually, if they had the work ethic, become beautiful, intelligent, achieved women. But it's the laziness and the parasitism that drives all. So if you point that out, shame them for it. Say you're not a productive member of society. You're great line. Feminists are so independent, then why do you keep needing taxpayer dollars to support you? Vast majority of feminists need it. Nonprofits, universities, government programs, grants. You're rarely, well not rarely, but the vast majority, say 75% of feminists are dependent. They're parasitical. So point that out and they get pissed. Would it work better in traditional roles? Yes, because men and women are different. No matter what, it doesn't matter. You know this. Empiricism tells you this. When women start asking men out to equivalent rates that men ask women out, then I'll start to believe that women are, I don't want to say equal, but are the same, like identical to men. They're not. People should be treated equally, of course. But we are different. And it's like, take planes, for example. Take an F-15 fighter plane. Are you going to use that for transport? No, it's a fucking fighter plane. You use it to go shoot shit down. Are you going to use the CK-135, which is a transport plane, to start dogfighting against MiG-29 Fulcrums? Look this shit up. No, it's a transport plane. And to try to charter or force a role on a plane that it was not designed for, it will fail. And you can see this between men and women. Men are being forced to be more feminine, and it takes, but they're not able to work anymore. They're weak. No one wants to sleep with them. They look like pajama boy. Women and the same. They fail miserably at being cops. I'm not talking detective work or being good patrolmen. But I'm not, no, you're not protecting. No, thank you, Miss Cop Lady. I'll protect myself. Unless you've got like some really great skills, like you're a martial artist or something, I'll protect myself, thank you. I don't know, men, giving childbirth, I guess that's like a wet dream for feminists. I have no idea. regardless, men and women are different. They have formed these roles in relation to one another in society over hundreds of thousands, if not genetically speaking, billions of years. And because some angry, ugly cunts back in the 70s decided to change it 40 years ago, is not going to, 40 years of psychotic thinking is not going to undo all this genetic and biological programming. So men and women do have... Now, this isn't to say, and you've seen this, everyone's seen this, sometimes there are women that are the leader. You see the guy who's more of the motherly, feminine type, and the woman is the breadwinner, and that's fine, that's perfectly all right, but let it happen naturally. Don't force it down the thing. And again, feminists want to eliminate all traditional roles, and I haven't really figured out why. I know there's an evil purpose behind it so that they can just claim money. I don't know, but I don't trust. It's weird. It's not trustworthy. I don't trust them. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. Usually the best, healthiest families, resulting in the best, healthiest children, and therefore the best, more successful societies, are the one where the father is the leader of the household, the mother's... They're married, they stay together. Crazy concept. I know hyphenated feminists married soon-to-be divorced women. There is a person at home, the mother typically, that takes care of the kids, but there's someone there, and the government does not raise them. It is the mother and father that do. But yeah, that's where the most stable, well-grounded kids come up. So yeah, it does work better. It's so obvious on the face of it. Like, what makes you think there's going to be anything better than a nuclear family? That's how society, like how gold became a standard across different cultures. Like, gold became a standard not out of shits and giggles. It wasn't like, well, everyone just, we're going to talk about it and we'll meet here in Asia and we'll go back to our respect. All these civilizations that were separate, like the Incans, the Chinese, the Indians, Mesopotamia, Europeans, Africa. Gold was because it's naturally the best material for money or trade. The nuclear family is also what has formed naturally in many different areas without everyone needing to say this is what we should do. So that's and since that has been ingrained in human psychology and genetics, the men and women, they complement each other. Where women are weak, men are strong. Where men are weak, women are strong. And it's like X-Men where Wolverine and his brother go back to back. It's kind of like that, but feminist. Anyway. Is it possible to go back to the traditional roles? Yes and no. On a societal level, no. Again, there's too much brainwashing going on in schools, and what this is really tragic because it ruins women's lives. It brainwashes these girls, maybe not to become full feminists, but to have thoughts that just are not going to jive well or be conducive to marriage, successful families, successful rearing of children, happy lives. So women, as you're very well aware of, are more focused on their career than anything else. They think that's what life is about. And they really destroy the most important thing in their lives, and that is the capacity and function, or ability, to enjoy human interaction, human conversation, love, with your husband or your gay lover, doesn't really matter, your children, whatever, your family, your friends. No, the career is number one, and that's... You've just destroyed their lives. Sadly for women, and this is where you want to talk about how I told you we're feminists. They have no problem hurting other women to get their fucking money. Is where they brainwash women to the point that they're unmarriageable during their years that they are most attractive. Women squander that time. They fail to cash in their chips. So when they're they're in their 20s, they're all hot, and they're having parties and wonderful, and they'll just sleep around and have a good time. I'm not against that, don't get me wrong. But if you want to have a family, if you want to attract a husband, you want a good quality husband, you want to have an easier life, you have got to cash in. You've got to take your beauty, attract a really good looking guy, or not necessarily good looking, but a reliable guy that you like, that you're physically attracted to, and make sure that it's going to work. If you're all of a sudden 31, 32, 33, there are women who are very attractive at that age, don't get me wrong. But if you're on average, and here's something fun to do. Men and women naturally only look at the good-looking people, and you dismiss normal-looking people, not even ugly people, normal-looking people as just background. Stop and readjust your eyes. Go to a Walmart, go to a grocery store, and just look at how many average people there are. And then it tells you, like, holy shit, you girls really got, I mean, like, yeah, there's always the hot babe, don't get me wrong. She'll be able to get a guy until she's 40. That's less than 1% of the population. The vast majority of people are very average looking, and I mean, women in particular, they lose their beauty quite quickly in their 30s. And a lot of it also has to do with they don't primp themselves and they don't present. I've mentioned it before. There was this woman, she was in her 60s. She was beautiful. She had a nice dress on. She looked feminine. I mean, she turned my head. Very few women do that. In any case, getting back to where these traditional roles are not going to be possible to go back. For this generation of women, no, it's sadly not, because they have been focused on career. They have not been focused on other people, namely husbands, potential children, relationships. And it's all them. It's all their career. It's all, look at me, what I did. And that's why they really don't achieve anything in the real world. Sorry, ladies, you don't. But they always champion their degree. You know, it's like, I went to Cornell. I ran into a gal who went to Cornell. I went to Cornell. I don't know what Cornell is. And I have a degree in marketing. And I graduated. I was like, nice orange pants, lady. I don't know. She was wearing orange pants. So there's that. Also, there's way too much currently today, way too much dependence on the government. Single moms, women can get divorced at any time. They never have to really worry about being starved. They don't have to worry about ostracization. They don't bother worrying about the effect it's going to have on their kids. And the government's there. And the Democrat Party, and it's not even the Democrat, in any Western world country, there is the Socialist Leftist Party always there, willing to help out the women and children in exchange for the vote for the women, from the women. This has, by default, it's called crowding out. It's an investment term. It's crowded out men. The government has come into a market that was not normally supposed to be in, which is effectively the husband market. The government has become a surrogate or substitute husband, whereas no more than 50 years ago it was primarily the husband that, paid for everything, provided, protected. Now the government is taking over that role, and it has not only become a financial fact, a financial reality, it's also now socially acceptable. To be blunt about it, the black community, I feel very, very bad for our black brothers, because how are they going to compete against Barack Obama? How do they compete against a government that's got trillions of dollars and is willing to bribe black women to vote for them, and they'll give them free food, clothing, shelter, daycare, schools, whatever else? The poor black guy has no agency left anymore in relation to black women. And you've not only destroyed the women's lives, you've destroyed the black guys' lives too. Because the most important thing in men's lives is, like women, if you think about it, is family, loved ones, children, friends, stuff like that. But now with the government coming in and supplanting the role of men, and this is happening in all races, it's just most extreme and prominent in the black race. It's devastating. It's the poor black guys are just, why? And men can get by on very little. We can get by on a fraction, I think 1/5 of what a woman and children need to survive. Man, we can sleep on a couch, and this is where the MGTOW movement comes in. And it's like, I'm getting a motorcycle. I'm going. Why do I sound like Billy? Was it Vinny? Who's John Travolta's character? Billy Barbarino? Hey, Mr. Carter. Shows my age. So now for this generation, especially now that the roots have been planted, that the government is taking care of the kids, or at least as the primary partner or the surrogate husband, it's too late now to do that. Now, so in that regard, it's impossible to go back. However, that's social, society-wide. Individually, you still can make your own choices, and this is where you have to manage your microenvironment. I wrote a piece about it. It's very important because, yes, society, you live in the United States, you live in Western culture, it's going down the toilet. It doesn't mean you have to suffer that. You can surround yourself with really good people. All right? My friends are all productive people. I do not befriend liberals or leftists unless they think they are, but they're really not. Another example is a lot of people in the manosphere. They're like, oh, never fucking, the women are all whores, and fuck it, I never date women, oh, fuck marriage. I got a girlfriend, I love her, I like it. But I chose her because she's a very traditional woman. I mean, she supports herself and everything else, but she cooks for me, she does lingerie, or she doesn't do lingerie, she wears lingerie. When she does the laundry, sometimes there's lingerie in there, thus she is doing the lingerie. But you can find good quality women out there. Now, they're rare. They're very rare. I talked about it before on a video. It's 1 in 100. And I know that empirically because I had to date 300 girls, and out of the 300 girls, there was only one. Every 100, there were only 3 that were of considering, not even like compelling, considering marriage material. So you can still live this life. You see it. You can have the traditional wife. I think there's a resurgence coming where women are young women are rejecting feminism. A lot of women want to become wives. They don't want to work, but they do want to work because being a housewife is work. Maybe they do want to have a career, but their primary concern is having children or finding a husband. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of how it was. So they're out there, but don't think it's just because society's going down the toilet, your personal little island has to go down the toilet as well. So, for your own personal sake, do it. Unfortunately, this is going to have like a huge demand for a very small supply of quality traditional women. But yeah, hopefully you get one, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, hope that answered your questions there, Chris. And if you guys have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com. Be willing to pay a fee. I don't do this for free because it takes my time. And send your questions, consultation requests, or video requests. There's a little email form you can fill out there. Toodles!